This is about the history of Seon, one of the ancient Korean kingdoms. Seon lasted over 2,000 years between BC 24C and BC 03C. The kingdom was ruled by 47 Gun. Joseon used to be much bigger than current Korea, including the eastern part of current China and the southeastern part of current Russia. Joseon was so big that Dangun divided the kingdom into 3 parts for effective reign. The records of Dangun. The 2 most essential elements to managing a country are the pride of its people and the knowledge of its history. If its history is clear, people will retain their pride. If people lose their pride, the foundation of a country will be in trouble, and the government will get confused. When recording history, what is right should be correct, and what is wrong should be wrong. Also, describing historical figures and events should be objective. This way, we can suggest the standards of recording history to the next generations. Our ancient kingdoms prove that Korea has a long history. Countries and their histories, like people and politics, always go together. Every person should be treated as an essential member of our country. For example, politics are like a container, and people are like Tao in the container. So, politics and people are closely related to each other. Likewise, the country is a body, and history is its spirit. So a country can't exist without history, like a body can't without spirit. But basically, all this depends on you, and this will only be realized when you know who you are. Therefore, the first thing you have to do is to know yourself. Then, what is the first step to knowing who you are? God is the Trinity, the 3-in-1, who appears in people in 3 different ways. First, God as a creator appears as heavenly nature. Second, God as a nourisher appears as life. Third, God as a ruler appears as essence. Therefore, humans are more noble and dignified than any other creature. God, creator, nourisher, ruler. Human, being pure heavenly nature, life, essence. Secularized mind, spirit, body. Reference. Divinity comes from heavenly nature, but it doesn't mean that heavenly nature is divinity. If your spirit turns bright again, you'll get heavenly nature in you. You can see your heavenly nature and your life only when your divinity works with your spirit, because divinity is inseparable from a spirit. Likewise, you can see your heavenly nature that doesn't separate from divinity, and your life doesn't separate from your spirit, because heavenly nature is inseparable from life. So heavenly nature is the spiritual enlightenment that shares the exact origin with God. Life lasts as long as mountains and rivers exist. Essence lasts forever by handing down to the next generations to achieve its goal. The 3 become 1, and 1 becomes the 3. If you don't change after you make up your mind, you become the true you. But God can bring changes to you. If you find the true you, you'll find God in you. After realizing this truth, if you focus on training yourself to find the true you, the righteous energy will come to you, and you will shine the light of God. This is how you can be one with God when you follow the disciplines of Samshin. Therefore, the one who embodied human nature, life, and essence holds the Trinity of God. God appears as Shim Gi Shin after becoming one with everything. Huan took control of Gamshik-cho and shared pleasure with other people and all other world kingdoms. Eventually, he could harmonize with the sky, the earth, and the people. To change yourself, you should learn to control Gamshik-cho before teaching others and fix your mind and spirit. This is the way to stand on your feet after figuring out yourself. Oh gosh, so sad. The Chinese kingdom, Han, invaded Bio because Bio lost its way, and the Mongol kingdom invaded Goryeo because Goryeo lost its way. If they had kept their way, they would have been able to beat their invading enemies. Very sad. Not long ago, Jam and Chung conspired against our kingdom with other betrayers, just as Nam Sang and Balji did against the kingdom of Gogu Rai. Then, how come our kingdom's leaders tried to avoid any trouble and only took care of themselves? That's because our kingdom's spirit and history have been taken away. These days, the Mongolians are interfering with the affairs of our kingdom too much, and they try to enthrone or dethrone our king at their will. It's frustrating that leaders like me can't do anything against them. Now we're losing the spirit of our people as well as the history of our country. Although just one politician can't save a country, we can find a way to save our kingdom if we all work together. How can we save our kingdom? As I said, we have to keep our spirit and history. Since Xin Shi, we have kept our national spirit. People could prosper only if they have spirit. So, there's no question we should learn history. This is why I'm writing about this book, The History of Dan Gun, at Haewon-dong, Ganghwa Island. 12th year of the King Gong Min, October 3rd, 1363, Hong Heng Chon-su. According to the old record, the father of Wang Jiam was Dan Wang, and his mother was the princess of the Wangshi kingdom. Dan Gun, Wang Jiam was born under the Dan Su on May 2nd, BC 2370. People around him liked Wang Jiam because he was so generous. When Wang Jiam turned 14, the king of Wangshi heard that Wang Jiam was mystical and spiritual. So the king hired Wang Jiam as his assistant ruling his kingdom, Dae Yub Guk. In the year BC 2333, when Yo was ruling the Dang Kingdom, an ancient Chinese kingdom, Wang Jiam left the Bei Dao Kingdom and arrived at the place of Dan Mok in Asa Dao. Then, the people in that area crowned him as their king. Wang Jiam united 9 Huan tribes and began to take care of all the tribes in the one united kingdom, Joseon. He was Dan Gun Wang Jiam. Dan Gun Wang Jiam ruled the Dae Yub Guk kingdom by helping the king for 24 years before he became the king of Joseon and ruled for 93 years. He died at the age of 130. When Huan Wang started Xin Shi, people immigrated from all directions and settled in the Bei Dao Kingdom's mountains, valleys, and other places. They made clothes from plants, but kept bare feet with no shoes on. Bei Dao Kingdom lasted 1,565 years. Xin in Wang Jiam, who was the head of Oga, arrived at the place of Danmok with 800 other people together. Xin in Wang Jiam began to practice ritual service to God with people. He, a mystical and spiritual figure, followed the teachings of Sky. So, The people of the 9 Han tribes were pleased with him and began to follow. For those people, he was like God who came down from heaven and became their king. His name was Gun Segi. Restored the old way that Wan Wang ruled his kingdom and chose Asadal as their capital city. Then he officially started his kingdom, Joseon. These are teachings by Wang Jiam. The providence of God is not two but one, and you can meet God only when you restore the heavenly nature that God gave you. As the providence of God is one, people's mind is one. Therefore, you try to understand others from the perspective of your mind. If you all become one-minded, it coincides with the providence of God. This enables our society to last peacefully. You were born by your parents, and your parents came down from the sky. So, you can respect God only when you respect your parents. If this applies to a country, it is loyalty and a filial duty for countries. Therefore, if you can put it into practice, you can save yourself even when the sky collapses. As every pot has its lid, all animals have their partner. Hence, you couples, don't blame or envy each other, and don't be naughty. But we always try to get along with each other. If you bite your fingers, they all get hurt. So, you don't fight or cuss at each other, but always love and help each other. Then, your family and your country will prosper. Look at cows and horses. They share their food. So you people, try to be nice to each other like them. Don't try to take anything from others by force. If you help each other, your family and country will prosper.